I haven't made a video in a while. I haven't really had time to edit anything. I only really have one or two videos in the queue. I just figured I'd go live today. I'm working on the LS motor behind me. This is the 5.3 that I got for 150 bucks because we blew the 5.3 up that was in the car on the dyno on the RX7. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this camera around, show you guys. So this is kind of what I was dealing with. A lot of this is actually my fault. When I got the motor, the oil was already drained, but the motor sat right outside the garage underneath the porch, and I think I drained the oil pan today, and there was like 12 quarts of water in it. So it was nasty. Like the whole bottom end looked like this. So I wound up degreasing everything, brake cleaning it, power washing everything off. It actually doesn't look that bad. It cleaned up pretty good. Everything rotates easy. There's nothing wrong with it. The only difference is this is a Gen 3 motor versus the one out there, if you can see underneath the bag, which is already stripped. That's a Gen 4 motor. So these rods aren't as strong, but it should still handle the 500-ish horsepower I'm trying to make. So right now, what I'm getting ready to do is put in the cam that came out of the original Grassroots motor, and then hopefully get all the lifters, the front cover, the valley cover, the heads, and then I'm not using the head bolts this year. The only reason I used them last year is because the motor blew up the night before. So I am actually going to be reusing stock head bolts. They were originally used once, and then when I bought the motor, the guy never retorqued them. He just kind of had the head sitting down. And I've seen plenty of people like Matt Happel from Sloppy Mechanics. They've reused stock head bolts. They reused them multiple times, and they've made 1,000 horsepower. So if you guys ever watch the LS Challenge, you got Calvin kind of let me know. These guys make a ton of power on reused head bolts. So I'm just going to reuse those, pull the 50 bucks or so I had for the ARP bolts out of my budget because I will no longer be using these, at least not on this motor. These are it here. This motor overall was cheaper than the first motor. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting this thing together here. I don't really know. Here, let me see if this will be a good spot to put it. Not really sure here how to do this, but putting the cam in is pretty easy. You're just gonna lube it up with whatever oil you have, right? I'm just using some cheap Valvoline 10W40 that I bought from like a freaking garage sale or something. And then essentially, you just lube up all the journals. I just do it over the bottom end of the block because if oil gets in there, I don't really care. Oil's going to be in there all the time. And then slowly and gently work it all the way in. I'm sure there's some that's what she said jokes in here. Does get a little tricky towards the end because the back, there it goes. So now it's all the way in. Once we get it to this point, we can go ahead and take the retainer, which actually I have to clean off because it's kind of gross. So for those just now joining in, I am putting together the motor that's replacing the motor that came out of the RX7. I didn't take a video of pulling the RX7 motor, and I haven't uploaded a video in a while. I'm kind of recovering from COVID. I'm not sick anymore, but I can tell you I was really sick. It sucked. My wife didn't really have it that bad. The daughter didn't really have it that bad. But I unfortunately took the brunt of it. And I can tell you firsthand, it was not fun. You know, some people have a pretty relatively easy time with COVID, but I was not one of those people. It really did suck for me. So you know, I feel for anyone that has to go through what I went through. It was not a fun time. I don't wish it on anyone. But that's besides the point. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing bolted in here. I don't want to lose this gasket. There we go. So this is the cam shaft retainer plate. This just prevents it from coming out, sliding out too far. It has a little bit of play, but once you get everything bolted up with the cam gear and get the chain around the crank sprocket, the cam doesn't really move at all anymore. It's axially limited in that location once you have the cam sprocket and the chain holding it together. For stuff like this, I don't really know the torque spec. I just kind of hit it with the impact. I know that'll be good enough. I can get the socket off. All right. So the cam is in. Now all I got to do is time it. So what you do, there is a, let me grab this here real quick. Sorry. There is a little dot. If my camera will focus, this is also my phone. So yeah, so there's a little dot there on the crank sprocket, and on the cam sprocket, which I need, and the chain. There's not a dot on the cam sprocket, but there is a there's that little I guess semicircle. That's kind of the dot. So you line those two up. Come on, focus now. You line this up with the the crank sprocket straight up and down, and that should put cylinder 1 at top dead center. And then that's it. It's pretty simple. I'm gonna go ahead and get it all relatively lined up, and then I'll show you guys. Oh, you know what? I forgot my phone had this little stand in it. Might make things easier. There you go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take these bolts out. The only reason I had these bolts in here because it kind of gave me a little bit of extra room to hold the camshaft when I was putting it in and when I was taking it out of the other motor. If you'll notice here, there's a dowel on the cam, so you can't. This cam gear can only go on one way, so it kind of makes life a little easier. But let me grab. This is a 24 millimeter bolt, the crank bolt. So just in case you're wondering what size this is when you roll it around, that is what size it is. I'm going to roll this around to where the dot is facing down. And let's see here. This is the front, so that would mean, yep, this one here. Yep, so cylinder 1 is at top dead center. All right. So what you have to do here, the cam should be turned with the dowel to the left. So I'm going to put these back in so I can turn it a little bit and at least get it close, because when you put this cam gear on, you know, you have to put the chain on with it, and I don't want to get it right the first time. Sometimes you got to kind of move it around a little bit. All right, so one tooth off. I went too far. There we go. I'm not sure if that's right or not. I feel like I'm a tooth off still. Let me try one more tooth this way. No, I was right the other way. Yeah, that's right. So once you get her on here, oh, unfortunately I pushed the crank too far in. There we go. And just because this is the Grassroots car, and again, I don't really know the torque spec here, I'm not going to really torque it down. I'm just going to hit it equally with the impact. I don't really recommend this because, you know, I don't really want anyone to blow their stuff up on my behalf, but I'm just doing this because we are kind of in a rush in terms of Grassroots car. We're about 2 months from the challenge, actually a little bit less than 2 months. So the other day I realized, crap, we got to get this thing together and going. So my father-in-law came over. We yanked the original motor out. It took us about 2 hours. I didn't film it because to be honest, I didn't really want to take the time and talk and everything while I was pulling the motor. I just wanted to get it pulled out. I will film this motor going in, and I'm obviously doing a live video now, but just because I feel like I have fallen behind on the videos. I've been sick and stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes for me personally, it's easier just to do the work, not film the videos, because when you do it with the video, it does take longer. You have to kind of talk and explain and stuff, and then you know, while I'm doing that, I can't really work, and then you have to set up the camera, and you're going to do time lapses and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't mind doing it. I just, when I'm in a rush, I feel like, and I really want to get something done, I would rather just work than work and make a video. So I need to get better at it, but for now, as long as the car gets done and we make it to the challenge, I will be happy. That's my biggest goal right now. And then for those that don't know, the car, you know, we sold the nitrous kit. We're actually not going to be running nitrous this year. We will be running a turbo kit, a 75, 78 on 3 turbo. Hoping that the car will make about 500. Probably will run E85, and hoping that everything holds together, including the rear end, which is my biggest fear, especially for the drag race portion. If anyone's asking questions, by the way, or commenting, last time I looked, there wasn't really many people watching. So people will probably just watch this later, and that's okay. But I don't have the camera, like I'm not looking at the screen, so I can't see anything that anyone is commenting. Just a FYI, I'm not ignoring you, I just can't see it. Oh. All right, so let me show you guys the... All right, so now that the cam is timed, right, you can see cylinder 1 here, top dead center. Now that this is in, I can go ahead and put the oil pump on. Once the oil pump is on, I can put the pickup tube. I can put the front main cover, the front timing cover, I guess. and then I can put the oil pan gasket and the oil pan on, and then I can flip the motor over, and we can start putting the heads, the rockers, and everything else on. And I'm not going to put the intake on. I'm just going to leave it a long block, and then the motor will be ready to go back into the car. Let's go ahead and keep on chugging along. This is an easier video for me to do because I don't have to really stop what I'm doing. I can keep going, and I don't have to edit, which is nice. So this is actually the oil pump out of the Gen 4 motor. I'm doing this because I know it works, and I don't want to take the risk of putting the oil pump that came out of here in it, since it was like super gunked up, and have it fail on me when I know the Gen 4 pump works. This is actually the high output pump. And Calvin did say and warn that if you run this pump, you do run the risk of sucking the oil pan dry, just because it really does create like a lot of volume of suction. So just be wary of that. If you run this and you don't have good pickup tube clearance, you could suck the pan dry. So you should run at least a little bit more oil in the pan than normal, just to kind of prevent that, so you don't wipe out any bearings. All right, that's the oil pump installation. Very simple. I'm going to go ahead and grab the oil pan, which had to get fixed thanks to Matt, my buddy. When we pulled the motor, I kind of cracked it just a little bit, but he was able to fix it in about 20 seconds. He has aluminum filler rod and a really nice, so he didn't charge me any money. He just said bring it by and fixed it for me. So I really appreciate that, Matt. The only problem is I don't really know what I did with it. I don't know where I set it. I kind of find it here. Oh, it's right here. All right. I do have to clean this out, so I can kind of show you guys a little bit. We did blow up that Gen 4, and I don't know what, I thought we cracked a piston for sure, but if the camera will focus here, come on now. Almost focused for a second. Anyway, there's a lot of metal shavings in there. There you go. A lot of metal shavings in there. We think we might have wiped a main bearing. It's the only thing I can really think of, because when I pulled the heads off, I was expecting to see a really scored cylinder and a really tore up piston. Well, I didn't see either of those things, so I'm not really sure what happened. I'm going to send the Gen 4 block off to my buddy Kyle, who you guys have seen multiple times. He has a machine shop, Oviedo Machine Works. So right now I'm just kind of cleaning up and cleaning out this pickup tube. I don't want any of this metal to make it back into the motor. Yeah, it's really nasty. I don't know what we picked up. It almost looks like steel wool. It's really gross. There you go. You can kind of see some of what's coming out of there. I just want to get this cleaned out before I put this back in the motor, because you don't want to risk some of this metal coming through and then causing the oil pump to fail or anything like that. It must have been a main bearing we wiped out, because the motor is kind of hard to turn over, but like I said, there's no cracked piston, there's no cracked ring lands. I I didn't see any scoring on the cylinder walls, so I don't think a piston ring broke, which that was our original theory, is because we didn't gap the rings in the motor, and that was a relatively low mile motor. So we thought the ring gaps kind of like spun against themselves, and that's kind of generally what causes the ringland to crack, is when the piston rings, the gap closes and there's nowhere else to go, but the cylinder pressure is still high enough where it causes them to, almost like a rod bearing spins, where it spins over itself, and the end gaps, they do that, and once they do that, that pressure's got to go somewhere, so the force generally cracks the ringland, and then it'll start smoking because you have oil and you have blow by, and it had all those same symptoms, but I'm assuming we just spun a main bearing, and then yeah, I don't know why it was smoking out of the breather as much as it was, but either way, it is enough to prompt us to have a new motor here. All right. Pickup tube is cleaned out. I'm going to spray through the tube one more time just to get any residual out. Whew. All right, I'm going to set that here for now. Got to go get the windage tray. All this stuff is from the other motor. Also want to clean this off real quick. Some metal. The last thing I'll have to do, obviously, is clean the pan. Even though he welded it, there's still some oil residue and some metal shavings in there, so I'm going to spray that down with some degreaser and let that soak, and then kind of might go show you guys the car in its current condition, motor out and everything like that, just so you guys can see. If you guys have never done this, these windage trays say rear, so you kind of know where to go with them. Now, you don't have to utilize this. You can make your own. You can take the truck pan, trim the front, and then bevel the rear. It's a lot cheaper of an option, but we happen to get a good deal trading our muscle car pan for a F-body pan, which was nice. Grab this. All right. 10 millimeter bolt that holds the pickup tube to the oil. And then all of the windage tray bolts or nuts are 13 millimeters. I'm going to go ahead and give them a quick wipe down in this rag, just because they have some of that residue and shavings on them. Some of the smaller stuff I'm not really too worried about. It's really just the big stuff, like the windage tray and the pickup tube was the main concern. Luckily, it has that screen in there, so it will catch majority of anything that tries to pass through, but anything small, obviously is still going to make it through. Could still potentially cause the oil pump to fail. I've had oil pumps fail before on cars, and it will take out the motor. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when it will happen if it fails. And generally it's sooner than later. Huh, I don't know what that is. Right, that's a 15. Looking for my 13 millimeter socket. This is the story of everyone's life. You just had it, set it down somewhere, and it's gone forever. Don't know what I did with it. Maybe I put it back. Oh, I did. rare. I put it back in the box when I wasn't using it. All right, that is the windage tray and pickup tube. Before we put the pan on, like I said, I do have to clean it, so I'm going to go ahead and spray that with some degreaser now. And then while that soaks, I'm going to go ahead and put the front timing cover back on, because 2 of the bolts that hold the oil pan on are bolted into the timing cover. So we'll have to put that on first anyway. I'm actually not going to put gloves back on for now. Earlier when I was cleaning the motor out and it was disgusting, I had them on because it was actually really, really nasty. Here's the pan. Gonna hit it with I use this Simple Green Motorsports cleaner. It's pretty good. It's a little bit less potent than the normal stuff. Oh, I did just notice that there's a tray in the pan that you can remove. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because I believe it's going to be easier to clean out that way. I don't know where my frickin' 8mm long heat socket is. All right. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. I just want to take it out. So this is the tray that's removable. This is actually where the pickup tube sits down in here, comes through this hole, sits in there. So I did not know this was removable until I happened to look in there and see it was held in by some 8mm bolts, which is nice. Kind of cool. I can see how the F-body pan somewhat mitigate loss of oil because it has some baffles in the bottom of the pan underneath this plate, and I did not know that, which is actually really cool. Go ahead, and gives me a chance to clean this off. Again, a reminder to anyone that's watching, ooh, that was strong. I can't see the screen, so if you comment or anything like that, and I'm not responding, I'm not ignoring you. I just am trying to stay focused on getting this done. I just figured I would bring you guys along for the journey because I have fallen behind on videos, and this is kind of like one way I'm trying to make it up by showing you guys I'm not I'm not just sitting around being lazy. I am working, but sometimes the videos just can be more distracting than helpful in terms of getting stuff done. Woo. I gotta find my drain pan because that's some gross stuff in there. Let's go ahead and get this timing cover on before I forget. Not exactly sure what I did with the timing cover gasket, which is bizarre. Unless I put it up here somewhere. I'll show you why I like this timing cover a lot too here in a second. Just got to find this timing cover gasket. Still outside with the other motor. All right, let's see which way we're working with here. Nope, this way here. All right, I got to clean off this surface here. But let me show you the this timing cover gasket is really awesome, especially since we're going with the turbo now. It has two, I think they're -10 drains. They're welded in here to the front. So we're going to use the passenger side one because the turbo is going to sit up on the passenger side. And it just gives you kind of a direct line, so you don't have to have a very long drain line. And it's easy to go ahead and just tap right into your, instead of drilling and tapping into your oil pan, this kind of gives you an easier solution to getting the oil back into your pan. So yeah, I really like this one a lot. It's really nice. It's convenient, and when you're not using it right, you just cap them off. This one will probably stay capped. But if you're running a twin turbo setup, it's nice too because you have two drains. But yeah, clean off this surface. This thing is gross to say the least. Let me grab my. Might wind up putting the gloves back on just because some of the stuff is a little bit too nasty. I don't really want to. I might get my hands dirty, but there's a point where like you still got to grab stuff. And your hand's relatively clean, so go ahead and just put on the old girl mittens. Oh, probably might be a good time to mention this for those that are watching or paying attention, and to see who actually really watches the channel. My 93 Cobra, the teal Cobra, one that I love, one that everybody else loves. It's gorgeous. Coyote swap, T56 Magnum swap. That car is actually for sale. I was not intending on selling it this soon. I mean, I wasn't intending on keeping it forever, to be honest. But the opportunity to purchase a dream car I've wanted since I was 10 years old has arisen. It's a good deal, and I do not want to miss this opportunity. I do not have to, luckily, and fortunately, I'm very grateful to be in a position where I don't have to sell the Cobra prior to purchasing this car. However, I cannot keep both of them because the Viper is worth probably roughly the same amount. I think it's worth more, but that's irrelevant. You did just hear me say the word Viper. I was trying to keep it a secret, but I slipped the beans. So yeah, it is a second generation Dodge Viper. That is a car I've wanted since I was a kid. I'll let you in on that much, but I won't let you in on any other details until it actually happens. I don't want to, put the cart ahead of the horse here, but we are supposed to finalize and iron out the details tomorrow. And as long as everything goes smooth, we should get the car in roughly 5 or 6 weeks. That's because it's coming from a far away location, and shipping is not super fast. So if anyone's interested in the Cobra, I do have it listed at $55,000, which I know might come as a shock to some people. However, the Cobra is a car that's kind of hard to come by, and it is fully built. So, yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put this timing cover on now. I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to take a break. I want to go get some food, and then I'll start up another video here probably in the next half hour. So if you're interested in watching the remainder of the motor get built, the timing cover will be on. It's pretty simple. It's just the gasket and the bolts that go around it. When I come back, we'll put the oil pan on, flip the motor around, and then get the heads bolted down, and then we should be wrapped up on the motor. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a little bit.